This podcast is brought to you by Proton Dealership IT, experts in dealership cybersecurity and IT management. Interested in a free cybersecurity, compliance, or IT consultation? Visit protontex.com. That's PROTONTECHS.com.
Welcome to this weekend drive edition of Daily Drive for the first week in November 2025. I'm Kellen Walker in Las Vegas. We're breaking down some of the biggest stories in the auto industry from the past week and looking forward to what's in store in the days ahead. This week, 2/3 of the show is coming to you from Tokyo, where they're covering this year's Japan Mobility Show. Larry Velaquette covers Toyota and Subaru for us at Automotive News. Larry Legend, I know you're tired. Welcome back to Weekend Drive.
It's kind of hard to hear you, Kel, because there's a 12-hour time difference right now between when you speak and when I hear you.
I know your sleep is all messed up. And Hans Greimel is Asia editor for Automotive News. Hans, this is just another day at the office for you. Hans, welcome to Weekend Drive.
Thank you. Great to be here, Kel.
All right, guys. So let's just start with your personal highlights from this year's show. Hans, describe the atmosphere there at the show. And what's the one thing that has stuck out to you the most?
Well, the atmosphere this year is really kind of a resurgence of the show's energy and vibrance. You know, it used to be one of the world's standout shows. Then it went through some hard times, really took a beating during the COVID pandemic, but it's bounced back. And you see some vitality here. And it's largely because of the efforts of the Japanese automakers. It's still not on the whistle stop for a lot of the global players. They're not doing a lot of global debuts here, world premieres here, but the Japanese are saving this as their kind of main stage for their big announcements of the year. So you see it really anchored by the Japanese and one player in particular, and that's Toyota, the world's biggest automaker, the backbone of Japan's economy, and it is here in force. Really the star of the whole show. It basically taking over an entire hall all by itself for the whole group. Wow. And it's a showcase there of everything Toyota, from the main brand Toyota to Lexus to Daihatsu, all of its partners. And then, of course, the new spin-off brand, Century.
Something about that, Hans, does not surprise me. Larry, what's your top highlight?
The one thing that I'm really impressed with is the number and the variety and scope of concept cars, that's catnip for auto show consumers. Just going there and seeing the funky stuff coming there, including, I will point out that Toyota electrified the world's best-selling car, the Cozy Coupe, right? Which is the little push car that you give your kid. When he's, he or she is about 1 or 2, they did this. They put it in a bubble. They put these funky light eyes on it. It was pretty cool.
Well, let's talk more about Century and Toyota's plan for the sub-brand. Now, how important is this going to be for the automaker, and what will it mean for the all-important U.S. market? Larry, let's start with you.
So I think when we talk about the importance of Century, I think we only have to turn to the press conference. Hans and I were about 20 feet apart watching this and saw Akio Toyoda kind of choke up talking about this brand and about his family's legacy atop Toyota and what these vehicles, specifically Century, meant to his family, to his direct ancestors. They're top of the line, bespoke, handmade cars. And from a business standpoint, what this signals is that they're going to try and export these and go after the Rolls Royces of the world, right? This very, very high market, which is not where Toyota has ever played outside of Japan. How these are going to get retailed in the U.S. remains to be seen. We know they're going to be retailed through a subset of Lexus dealers. Not every Lexus dealer is going to want to do this because there is going to be some significant investment involved and some bespoke hand treatment of their customers, even well beyond what they do now. They're not certainly going to be it's not going to be a volume play, but these vehicles are going to start to show up in the U.S. And they've always been kind of forbidden fruit for car collectors because you have to wait 25 years to bring one in.
Hans, what are your thoughts?
Well, you're right. It's kind of a fulfillment of the Toyota family dream to create a top of the line international luxury brand. And Akio Toyoda got really emotional in describing this on stage. You could almost hear his voice cracking when he was talking about it. And it was kind of the fulfillment of his grandfather's dream, Kiichiro Toyoda, who passed away before he could realize the establishment of Toyota as a real global automotive force. So he feels as if he's fulfilling the family destiny here by finally putting Century out on the global stage. And he phrased it, the name of the brand is Century, and he basically said that's not a coincidence. That actually has meaning, and the meaning is that this is starting a new 100-year cycle for the car company. Toyota always thinks long term, and thinking on a 100-year horizon for Toyota is nothing unusual. So by actually elevating the brand and creating the space above Lexus, Toyota says it gives Lexus more freedom to do creative things. And you saw that firsthand on the stage of Lexus this time when it was coming out with its 6-wheeled vision for what the Lexus LS flagship might be in the future. It creates a new level, I guess, for Toyota to play in and gives the Lexus brand some freedom to experiment.
So, gentlemen, real quick, let's pivot to Toyota's mass market bread and butter. Now, they showed off a new Corolla concept. What's new? What's likely to stick in the production version next year? And what was the reaction from the crowd?
Well, finally, they are basically giving the Corolla the full treatment. They are putting it on a revised platform that leverages a new powertrain philosophy or direction, and that is a new set of engines that are smaller, more compact, more powerful, more efficient, and that will allow them to basically put these engines in a multi-pathway platform that accommodates all the powertrains that they have to offer, everything from a pure electric vehicle to hybrids, to plug-in hybrids, to just pure old internal combustion. And they will roll this out with the world's top-selling car in the Corolla. And what it allows them to do, because of the compact engine compartment, is to open up the internal cabin, give it a lot more internal space, and also kind of streamline the aerodynamics of the car to give it a kind of a more funky, futuristic styling. And you see that on display with their concept.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it looks sharp. It really looks nice. It looks Camry-sized, which, you and I, Kel, are old enough to remember when there was a significant difference between a Corolla and a Camry.
Absolutely.
But if you look at Toyota sales, the Camry is killing it right now. And the Corolla, dealers cannot keep either one of these in stock. They push these things through. They are still popular despite what's happened in the sedan market in the U.S. So now you're talking about a generational improvement in the Corolla. Let's hope that's going to come with some plant expansion, some capacity expansion, because these actually have a future. I took a look at the engine, talked to their head of powertrain yesterday. They're thinking between 10 and 20% more efficient.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Exactly. When you're talking about a Corolla,
how do you get a Corolla to be more efficient?
Right? I know.
The part that's crazy.
That's
right.
It's but that's a Toyota way. We're just going to Kaizen the hell out of it until we can't do it anymore.
Wow. Good stuff, guys. Coming up, we'll turn to some of the lowlights of this year's Japan Mobility Show. That's next on Weekend Drive.
Automotive News Shift Podcast brings you the latest on automotive technology, trends, and transformation. I'm Hannah Lutz.
And I'm Molly Boygon. We're the new co-hosts of Shift, and we're excited to bring you new conversations with experts and industry insiders like this one with Larry Dominique, president of LD Management Consulting.
I do believe the legacy OEMs are falling into a trap. They've got to find a way to, in some ways, build a new airplane while they're still in flight.
Catch Shift, available every Sunday, wherever you get your podcasts.
While you provide top-notch support to your team and customers every day, is anyone taking the time to ensure your sensitive data remains secure? Just one click on a malicious link can place your entire dealership in danger. In fact, the average cost of a data breach surpassed $4 million last year. Stay one step ahead by understanding the threats and minimizing your risk. Proton Dealership IT works around the clock to provide you support 24/7, 365. Operating out of a cutting-edge security operations center located in the USA, Proton continuously monitors, detects, and responds to your potential network issues or cyber threats. You've got a lot on your plate. Keep your focus on where it matters most, your customers. Learn more about our comprehensive services at protontex.com. That's PROTONTECHS.com.
Welcome back to Weekend Drive. I'm Kellen Walker with Larry Velaquette and Hans Greimel. So before we get to some lowlights, let's talk about China's presence at this year's show. Which brands were there and what was the impact?
Well, there were a couple of brands there. There was a truck maker, but most notably, there was BYD. Of course, that's the world's biggest maker now of electrified vehicles. And it's on a world conquest tour, basically. It's really expanding globally in every market, basically, except the United States. And now it's got its eyes on Japan, which is notorious, of course, for being hard to crack by foreign automakers. The foreign brands here have just a sliver of the overall market. The Americans are basically drummed out of the Japanese market. But BYD is taking on the so-called K car market here, the mini car market in Japan. And that's where the Japanese really have a lock hold on the sales, domestic sales. And BYD thinks that it can be the first foreign maker to crack that mini car market in Japan. And it's very unique that they're taking on that challenge. And if BYD can essentially make it in Japan by cracking the mini car market, they feel like they can basically make it anywhere. So it's a very big challenge for them. And it's a significant move that they're trying to break into the market here.
Yeah, I tell you, I love coming to Japan only if doing nothing else than looking at what drives by, right? Every time I'm out on the street. Because K cars, for those of our listeners that don't know, it's like watching little models, little Mario Kart models drive by. There are also Mario Karts running around the streets of Tokyo now, which is a little jarring. But I love coming here just to watch cars. I did see a couple of U.S. built cars driving around here. I saw obviously some way more German cars, a lot of German luxury cars. But I don't know that the Great Wall around, the great import wall that's existed around Japan, I don't know if that'll stay quite as high as what it's been anyway.
Interesting. Now, we've covered some of the high points of this year's Japan Mobility Show. What about some of the less exciting or questionable reveals? Larry, let's start with you.
I was kind of taken aback at how many minivans there were. And I know they're popular here and we're in another market. But there was a lot of minivans, and including the six-wheeled Lexus LS concept, which they made six wheels, according to the designer, to allow more width room, basically, for the third row.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
yeah,
an
exactly.
interesting way to go about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to picture that in my head, but okay.
Yeah, it was, as they say, polarizing, right?
Wait, real quick, Larry. So is it like a dually? Does it look like a dually truck?
Yeah, it's got four wheels on the back, and it's got four smaller wheels on the back, and it's got two very large wheels in the front. So good luck trying to rotate your tires. But they did it so that the wheel well didn't intrude into the cabin as much. Now that's yeah. Now that same concept, and it is a concept. That same concept also had something cool, which is the storage, the luggage, the cargo space in the back is a tray that comes out. Then you put the tray on, and then you push it back in. I thought that was interesting. It's a different design. Lexus also showed one of the other concepts that they had is a personal mobility device that was it's a rolling 3-wheel Barcalounger, basically. You're this little cocoon.
Okay.
Yeah, this little cocoon.
So funny.
Yeah,
That's very creative.
Yeah. The front wheels are they're kind of locked in place. The rear wheel, the single rear wheel, is powered, and that also does the steering. You don't have a steering wheel; you have a joystick. But that vehicle is intended to be, autonomous personal transportation in markets where they don't have the space. We're not talking about something that's probably going to be on sale in Kansas anytime soon, but might be here in Tokyo where there are 37 million people, Hans, something like that.
Yeah, give or take 1 million.
Yeah. Give or take. Yeah.
Hans, what about you? Anything you saw that was interesting or you thought was questionable?
Well, Mazda really stood out this year. It's a small brand, but kind of big in the United States, especially for its SUVs and, of course, for its notable sports cars like the Miata. But here, of course, it uses the Japan stage as a kind of a showcase for its design. 2 years ago, they had the iconic SP, which was really the show-stealing concept. It was super slick, beautiful, red sports car, kind of like a RX kind of throwback. And this year, they continued in that tradition with some really great designs. One is a coupe-styled sedan with a really long hood, slopey roof. And then the other is a really small, compact car, kind of what you can imagine as a next generation Mazda 2. And both of them look great. They have a new front fascia. But so it really highlights Mazda's role as a design-centered brand, I think. They really stood out across the whole show in that way. But at the same time, they are really flogging the idea of the rotary engine still. Remember the RX generation where they were famous for their rotary engine? They were the only real global maker that put it into production. It was a centerpiece of the brand identity. It's an engine that kind of circles around like this instead of going horizontally opposed with the pistons. It's very smooth. But, they've had a big trouble trying to get that back into production because it's just not such a clean engine. The emissions control on that engine are very difficult. So what their solution is now is to pair it with a bunch of green technologies to kind of give that rotary engine extra life in the new electric era of electrification. So their concept car assumes a lot of crazy futuristic kind of technologies. One is that first, of course, that it will run on carbon neutral fuel derived from algae. Okay, so that's a check. You got that. Then, of course, they assume it's going to have a plug-in hybrid variant so that it's electrified to some degree. And then they have a new contraption that they're going to strap onto the exhaust, kind of like a modern-day catalytic converter, if you will. And that's going to be a carbon capture system to capture the carbon emissions as it goes out so that it can be sequestered. So these are the lengths to which Mazda thinks it needs to go or imagines going in the future, maybe, in order to keep the rotary engine alive and relevant. So it's really a lot of ifs. It's a lot of, it's a real modern day science project they've got on their hands there. But the design as itself is really looking good.
If your only hammer is a rotary engine, then the world is a nail, right? That's no matter what you swing it at, that's your answer.
All right. Well, Hans, Larry, sounds like you guys are having a good time at the Japan Mobility Show. Hans, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks, Gal.
And Larry, I'll talk to you soon, friend.
You got it, buddy.
That's all for this Weekend Drive edition of Daily Drive. I'm Kellen Walker. Thanks to Automotive News executive producer Jake Neer for his help on today's podcast. You can get the latest news on new products, manufacturing, and everything happening in the auto industry at autonews.com. Come back on Monday for a conversation with Alex Partners' Abhijit Bora about a new study that shows imported vehicles from Canada and Mexico are mostly made up of foreign components, and what that means for automakers paying tariffs on those vehicles.
The suppliers are telling the OEMs, we can't absorb this. We built this value chain because you guys pushed us for cost efficiency, not USMCA compliance efficiency.
We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think of the show and the topics we covered today. Send us an email at dailydrive@autonews.com or leave us a voicemail at 313-444-2774. If you enjoy the podcast, remember to like, leave a review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.